Working? Okay.
Anyway, I wanted to be a trash man because I wanted to hang on the back of the truck. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I got to be a trash man. And that's the second worst job I've ever had in my life. Cleaning the frac tank was worst. Hanging on the back of the trash truck is horrible because it was June, July, and August. And you're either sprinting or lifting all day long. You're either sprinting or lifting. One of you is sprinting and putting the bags on one side of the road, and the other guy's lifting and throwing the bags. And then when you're riding in the truck, you're either breathing the worst trash dumpster smell you ever smelled in your life, or this horrible diesel exhaust. And you can't get, it's either or it's both. And you just, you're sick all day and it's hot. But whenever you're done, you're done. The faster you get finished, the faster you're done, and you get paid 8 hours no matter what. So we'd get done about 1 in the afternoon, and we'd get 3 extra hours of pay. And then if you work, then Wednesday was city day, and that meant downtown, and that took 3 hours. And guess how much you got paid? 8 hours. So it was horrible, but there was some trade-off there. Whenever we're done with this, we're done. Right? We're trash men today. If we get this finished, if I get this finished in time, then y'all got some extra time to do it. If we don't get finished, we'll finish it tomorrow. Right? And be thankful you don't live in southern Louisiana for a lot of reasons. But you live in a swamp, which means hot, heat, bugs, and alligators. I don't want to live in that stuff, but now you're flooded out. All right, so we got to redo natural rights. Oh, I took the roll. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God has given me many gifts and abilities. It is my responsibility to use them and not waste them. My outlook on life is a choice, not a reaction. I will make my world a better place for myself and those around me. I will do my best not to make a comment out of ignorance. The only fair in my life is Dallas in October and Decatur in spring. The world is not a satellite of myself. I'll be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. Just because somebody calls me a tree doesn't make me wood. I will give my best because I expect your best. Stop making comments. Wait. Stop being offended by things that don't concern you. There's a chance I might get there. Y'all do the best.
I can't see that ball now. It's okay.
So John Locke, you remember what the Enlightenment was? What was the Enlightenment?
Individual rights.
It was after the Protestant Reformation, after the Renaissance. Individual human beings got some worth. You're not just worthwhile if your dad's the king. You got something going on no matter what. And this John Locke wrote that every human being has the right to life, liberty, and property. What do you mean by property?
Land.
Well, yeah, or doing what you want with your life. As long as you ain't popping anybody in the face, live your life the way you want to. Do what makes you happy. But that was pretty out there in the 1600s. That's natural rights. Now the social contract theory. This one you can see it had everything to do with the American Revolution. It did help cause the American Revolution. Hobbes, Thomas Hobbes, is the guy that came up with this. What's a contract?
An agreement.
It's an agreement. Two sides agree to something. All right? Hobbes said that all government power comes from the people. king, dictator, democracy, whatever. The people allow that government to have power. They agree to let the government have that power. Bless you.
God bless you.
When the government messes up, he worded it a little different. He said if the government fails to uphold its obligation, no, if the government isn't working right, then the people they really have the responsibility to rise up and change it. If the government's not working right, if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, the people have the responsibility and the right to step up and change it or overthrow it. So his point was all government power starts with the people. They allow that government to be in power. When the government starts messing up, the people have the right and the obligation to step up and kick it out. I told you yesterday, we were talking about China in January. We're going to talk about Tiananmen Square. Y'all know what Tiananmen Square is? You've seen the picture of the guy standing in front of the tank. You ever seen that one? In China, which is a communist government, for like 6 weeks, thousands of students protested their government. You don't get to protest your government in a communist country. Last year, you remember hearing about Hong Kong? And that they don't let that kind of stuff happen without taking care of it and arresting people and shooting people and all that. That was 1989. There's a lot of people in China upset that they live in China with their government. Why have they not overthrown it? Communist governments are smart. They don't allow people to have weapons. They don't allow people to really communicate with each other. And if they start talking too much, they shut it down. And like the internet stuff, they're always shutting down the internet because people are figuring things out and talking with each other. People in Iran, 20 years ago, had a lot of protests, and that got squished. It's not like overnight people can overthrow the government in some of these places. But everywhere the government's crappy, there's people trying to work to overthrow it. And it takes a little bit of time. Does that kind of make sense? Part of why the founding fathers put in there that you have the right to own a gun was they knew government was evil. Why is government evil?
Power.
It's necessary. It's evil because human beings are involved. Human beings always mess everything up, and they knew from experience you had to be prepared and ready to do something about it. I'm not saying tomorrow let's go on the streets and start shooting people. I'm not saying that. But China and all those, they don't have the ability to really overthrow a tyrannical government that is killing them. Our government's not killing us. Their government, people disappear all the time in China. Where do they go? Well, the government takes them somewhere and takes care of them. North Korea, people disappear all the time. Places like that. So, anyway, that was Hobbes. Do you see how these two things had direct impact on America? This is the Declaration of Independence right here, both of this. And when we get into it, I'll show you the Declaration of Independence. You'll see this word for word, except it didn't say property, is in pursuit of happiness. All right, John Locke, the guy that wrote this, what did he believe about people?
Everyone had the right to pursue.
Everybody has rights. Not because you're a king's son, but because you're alive. That all human beings Now, there's probably some of you that have a thought that just popped up in your head. Thomas Jefferson wrote, and he actually copied part of natural rights theory and the social contract theory. He wrote, what am I fixing to tell y'all?
The freedom of life.
All-
Pursuit.
Not that part. All men are created equal. What popped in your head just then? Some of y'all popped in your head right now. Thomas Jefferson, America, freedom, all men. What do people point out about Thomas Jefferson? What do you know about him? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson,
President.
for sure. I know them for sure. Okay. What else they have in common?
President.
They had money. They're from the South.
Damn slave.
They owned slaves. They owned slaves. Does that conflict with each other where guys writing all men are created equal and they're slave owners? That conflicts. I wasn't there. Not look like I was there, but I wasn't there. My belief is Thomas Jefferson, I think, at least in the back of his mind, was troubled by that. May not be true. I just tend to think, and I guess just if I'm there and I'm writing that and I own slaves, that's going to make me kind of go, oh well, and just, I want to overlook that. It's very dangerous, and I don't think it's necessarily great policy to go back 400 or 500 years from now and put modern ways of thinking on past people. I don't think that's necessarily fair. If I lived in the 30s in Alabama, I don't think I'd say anything. Why not? Okay, well, there's part of that. I'm just saying, let's say I think like I do now. I'm like looking around and going, this is wrong. This is not right. And there were people living then that looked around and said, this is wrong. Why didn't they do anything?
They couldn't let it get beat.
They didn't want to get killed. They didn't want to lose their job. They didn't want their life jacked up. And I don't blame them for that. Why didn't you say something? Well, what would you have done? I would have said, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't live long. Right or wrong, I wouldn't have said anything. Every single human being is a piece of garbage. We are all a piece of garbage. We all do stupid things. We try to, if we're good at hiding us, we can kind of get away with people thinking that we're not a piece of crap. And then we just point out how other people, oh, look at them, look, because we're just screaming, look at them, because we don't want anybody, if everybody's looking at them, they don't see my piece of crapness, We're all a piece of garbage. And George Washington was an amazing human being. Was he perfect? No. Thomas Jefferson, great human being, did a lot of great things. Was he a crappy human being? Some things he did was crappy. You're never going to find, we can't ever build a statue to anybody because everybody's a piece of garbage. If you look hard enough, you'll be able to find, I can't do that. There won't be anybody that you can put something up. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't want to fall off a cliff here. I want to fall off a cliff. I want to kind of fall off and grab a stick and then jump back up. I always wondered, when I was a kid, I grew up in Weatherford, and we had a Confederate soldier on a pedestal facing the south. I remember I asked my mom one day, I was little, I said, what is that? So that's a statue of a Confederate soldier. Huh. And then as I got older, I was like thinking, okay, we're America. The South really kind of started a revolution against America, fought a war against America, lost. The right side won. The right side won because we don't need slavery. That was evil. And yet we have like monuments to the South all over the place. To me, it's kind of like in New York having a statue of the people that flew the planes in the building. Is there that much difference between those people and the Confederate Army? It's really not. And you wave that Confederate flag. Heritage, not hate. What's the heritage? What does that symbolize? What has it been used to symbolize throughout our history? It's been used to say, you stay in your place. When I see a flag, it's a flag. If Al Qaeda has a flag and somebody's waving that flag around, if you lost your mom or dad or your wife or your kid in September 11th, what does that flag mean to you? If you grew up, I don't think anybody here would pick, yeah, I want to be black. I want to live in America and be black today. Is anybody going to take that right now? I really don't think anybody would take that. Because your life is different. It's different. And you see that flag waving, what does that say to you? Think about what that says to you. It might not be what you're saying, but think of what it is saying. You know what I mean? Anyway, I didn't want to fall off a cliff, but I don't know why I said that. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, all men are created equal. I like to think they were bothered by that. But nobody I think was willing to be the person to stand up and say something. Plus okay, why did slavery exist in America to begin with?
Too lazy. People were too lazy to do it themselves. Okay, to have cotton, have tobacco, we didn't have machines, it took physical labor to get that. And the only way you could make a living off of it was to have somebody do it that you didn't have to pay money to. So in the South, they saw that as an economic necessity. America didn't invent slavery, but we sure jumped right in on the bandwagon when we found out about it. And it got to be a situation where even if you wanted to change it, you couldn't. And you weren't going to be the person to stand up and say. And so America kept kicking it down the road. They did the 3/5 compromise, where you kind of like, okay. Somebody spilled a Coke and they wiped it up with a rag. They didn't clean it. You know what I'm saying? And somebody else will clean it. They just kept kicking it down the road, and then all of a sudden the Civil War, and it finally got that. But anyways, and that took a while. All right, Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Is he from America? No. He's French. He's French. He felt that the government, let me make sure I got him and Montesquieu mixed up. Let me make sure I got he basically felt, and this influenced the founding fathers, that government was evil. Do societies need some sort of organization, some sort of control, some sort of government? Yeah, they did.
we can argue about what that means and what that does to us, or how intrusive they are. He felt like it was evil. The only way to combat that evil was to make a government that was completely completely led by the people. He said, a king, that's not the answer. Dictator's not the answer. The only answer is the people making their decisions. Now, Thomas Jefferson said, America's done, I'm going to paraphrase it, America's done when the citizens realize they can vote themselves money out of the treasury. He figured that out a long time ago. You understand what that means? We can vote for stuff. We can vote for the government to give us things and buy us things and provide stuff. And he said, we're done when we can do that. Titan does not bring anything to the table money-wise. He does not have a job. And if he's in charge of making the spending decisions for our house, we're in trouble. Right? The voters are kind of in charge of voting in people that are going to buy stuff or not buy stuff, provide stuff, not provide stuff. We're in trouble. We're getting close to 50% of the people voting eligibility-wise not paying taxes. If you're going to have to eat, and a majority of people ain't paying the bill, I'll take this and this and this and this and this and this, and then the people paying the bill, oh, we got it. No, it's good, it's good. Pay for it. We're doing this, Does that make sense? We're kind of in trouble. That's a scary situation. And we're not mature and responsible. You think America is mature and responsible today? It's not. It's not. Let's see. Eminent domain. That's what we talked about yesterday. Did we talk about that yesterday? Eminent domain? Did we talk about it in one class? Oh, it was not. Never mind. It was not a class. Eminent domain. Let's say you live on 114. What's happening on 114 these days?
Growing out.
When you were little, was 114 the same? 114 was when y'all were little. Now it's right? What are they going to have to do to 114 someday? They have to expand it. Why would they need to expand it? Well, for safety, right? And for traffic. They had to do it to 380. 380, when we first moved here, was a 2-lane road between here and Decatur, or between here and Denton. Now it's a 4-lane road, and it's packed now. What would they have to do to widen 114? They're going to take land. They don't take it. They buy it. So if you live on 114, do you want 114 wide? You don't. You don't drive on 114? You don't have teenagers pulling out on 114? You want 114 wide, right? You want it wide. You may or may not want to sell land to the government. The government's getting that land because of eminent domain, because for the public good, for the public safety, the government can come in and say, we're going to buy this land from you. Not we're going to take this land. And they're going to buy it at market value. So whatever that property's worth, that's what you'll get for it. And you're not losing 5 million acres. You're losing, the front part there. I have a different mindset. Anything I own is for sale. If you want to give me a check big enough, whatever I've got, you got it. I don't care. Can we see that situation and say, okay, I get that. That's overall a good thing. The city of Arlington in the mid-2000s voted that they wanted to fund half of Cowboy Stadium. They voted. The people of Arlington voted. We want this stadium here.
think it's like 60% of the vote voted yes. That's a big percent if you're voting for something. They decided they were going to put it next to Ranger Stadium. And that was a neighborhood, houses everywhere. So they sent letters to all those houses. It says the city of Arlington is going to be purchasing your house. You paid $30,000 for it in 1972. We're going to be giving you, your appraised value is $325,000. We're giving you $325,000. Check yes or no. Some people said no. I get it. I mean, I'm not like that, but I get it. What happened to them? They got their house bought, and they had to pay a bunch of legal fees. So they were out a lot of money in time and frustration. Some people, okay. Is that the same thing as a highway? What's different about Cowboy Stadium and a highway? But what?
The highway's more needed in a stadium.
What if you just got your job? You got a new job because of other jobs created because of Cowboy Stadium. There is all, not just at the stadium. There's hotels. There's restaurants. There's stuff. All kinds of stuff. Taxis. There's Arlington benefits financially from having that stadium there. So there's a lot of people who got their jobs got a lot better, or they got a job, or whatever. Hey Joe, sleep at nighttime. We'll sleep now. But what's the difference? That's good. What's different about a Cowboy Stadium and a highway? Hmm? Who owns the highway? It doesn't make a profit. Cowboy Stadium. Who owns Cowboy Stadium? Jerry Jones. He recently bought a yacht. One of the biggest yachts in the world. He recently bought a God love him. More power to you. He's a successful businessman. He bought the Cowboys for $150 million. They're worth like $4 billion now. He's a good businessman. A lot of people have a problem with people using the government to get rich. Now, did he use the government? They willfully, and the people of Arlington went along with it. Although I'm not saying it's bad, but that's a little different looking than the highway thing. We can all say, yeah, the highway, but we get the stadium, like, I don't know. Now the new Ranger Stadium. Whole lot of controversy about that because the old one was good, except I ain't going to a game in June, July, and August. Or September. How come? Calf sweat. Misery. Just can't breathe. They voted to fund that stadium. Same way they voted to fund the Cowboy Stadium. They didn't change anything. Cowboy Stadium was done being paid for. And they just rolled that stuff over to Ranger Stadium. So nothing changed for Arlington. It just stayed the same. Does that kind of make sense? Now when they say taxes were raised, people of Arlington don't pay the taxes. When they build a stadium, everywhere, the hotel tax goes up. The taxi tax goes up. The restaurant taxes go. I mean, the people that pay it are the visitors that come in, the tourists that come in. And Arlington is the city of bits. There ain't no city that likes bits like Arlington. Whatever you got, bring it. Six Flags, Rangers. We used to have this thing called Seven Seas. It was like a junior SeaWorld a long time ago. Anyways, does eminent domain make sense? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it both? When is it bad? If you're the guy in Arlington and didn't want to sell your house, you think eminent domain is evil. If you're somebody that drives 114 to work every day and they widened it, you think it's good. So eminent domain is good when you feel like you benefit from it. It's bad when you think you're getting ripped by it. They did the same thing with the racetrack. When they built the racetrack, they had to do away with some. There was a mobile home community or something, and they were fighting it. They lost. Does that make sense? If you feel like you're getting something out of it, eminent domain's a good thing.
If you feel like getting ripped, bad thing. All right, North Korea. What do you know about North Korea?
Communist.
Communist dictatorship. One of the worst communist dictatorships in the world. You cannot have a picture in your house if it is not of Kim Jong-un, the dictator. I told you about his golf game, didn't I? I know his dad, the first time he played golf, he got, I think it was 13 holes in one. First time he ever picked up a club, 13 holes in one. I wasn't there. Here's how it went down. He's the dictator. So the people covering it are watching, and he hits the ball. It goes like 20 feet. And then he hits another one, and it goes 10 feet that way. And it took him like 20 shots to get to the green, and then he 7-putted. And he looks at everyone and says, "How many was that?" I don't know why he has a German accent, but he said, I don't know how North Korea talks. "How many was that?" And they all look at him and go, "One." "Yes." And so, because he's the dictator, he's a god. They don't have religion because you can't have hope or human worth, so you can't have religion. He's the religion. The dictator's religion. Supposedly he's dead now, and the sister is going to be the dictator. That's the rumors. Supposedly she's worse than he was, and he was horrible. He was a piece of garbage. So you got North Korea, communist dictatorship. One of the worst examples of a country. The people of North Korea don't know anything. It's weird to think somebody doesn't live your life, because all you know is your life. So it's hard to relate to somebody else that doesn't have your life. You think they should think like you and act like you and experience things like you. They are brainwashed that the United States of America wants to destroy them. That everything America does is to destroy you, and the only hope you have is the dictator. So they grow up thinking that. They starve to death. This is why you can tell dictatorships are awful. Whenever there's, I have two of them, awesome. When there's a dictator, a communist dictator, they're always fat. And then the people are walking skeletons. So that, right there, there's evidence that something's wrong here. There's also I wonder if I can find a picture. This tells you everything you know about North Korea and South Korea. Here's North Korea. Here's South Korea. What's the difference? Which means, what's not there? Electricity, lights, civilization. There's that right there is the capital, which has the dictator's palace. That's the light. South Korea, look at that. Looks like America. So, what can you, just from that picture, what can you say about South Korea?
They're a lot better than North Korea.
There's stuff going on. There's some industry, there's some jobs, there's some economy. Not much going on here in North Korea. There's probably a missile building plant, what that is. So North Korea is a communist dictatorship with no opportunity. Y'all agree with that? Just looking at that picture? Not much hope in North Korea. South Korea,
It's an extremely successful democracy. Same people. I mean, it literally is the same race of people, the same history, same culture, same everything. Only difference is dictatorship, freedom. If you got a Samsung anything, that's what South Korea has a bunch of industry, a bunch of companies, a bunch of stuff going. Good place. What's a monarchy? That's a king or queen. England has a king or a queen still, but they're more like the flag. She doesn't have any power. She's just a symbol. It's a very important symbol, the Statue of Liberty, the flag. That's what the queen is to England. There is some place that has a king. I know Jordan has a king. They have a royal family. Jordan is right next to Israel. And they have been an important military ally to us. Even though they're a king and a monarchy, they're against like ISIS and those kind of people. So there's not many kings. Why is there not many kings left in the world? Well, and everybody, there used to be kings everywhere. And then America came around and everybody went, whoa, wait, look what they got. How come we can't have that? We want that. Like when you go out to eat and you see somebody and they're bringing out something, you go, whoa, what's that? Never seen that before. What's that called? Chicken fried steak? I'd like one of those. You know, people up north, they don't have chicken fried steak. If we would just show it to them. Oh my, where's this been? You know, sweet tea, right, a little bit, Wisconsin. We got a dictatorship. What is a dictatorship?
Someone has complete power.
Single person, one person takes over. Here's what happens when a dictator takes over. A dictator takes over when everything's crappy.
Doesn't make it better.
Everything's garbage, and the people have no hope, and then some powerful person comes in and says, look, I'll fix things. And they go, good, somebody, finally. And they turn to him. And I would even go as far to say that I would say some of the dictators that take over don't start out evil. They really want to help. But then being a human being, you learn that if I want a milkshake, I just go and somebody shows up with a milkshake. Whoa, this is pretty good stuff. And then it eventually becomes, what do I want? What makes me comfortable? And what's best for me? Because human beings can't handle being in that position. If I'm in a place in this room, I keep it cooler than I do my house. Why do I do that?
You don't pay to live.
It's free here. Y'all are paying for it. Y'all's parents are paying. I'm paying for this too. But in my house, I'm paying for it. So I'm gonna bump it down a little bit. At the house, I'm always kind of bumping it up one or two because I don't want to pay the bill, you know. But then I turn the fan on. So a single person, they always end up crappy because human being can't handle that. North Korea is bad because you had the granddad was the dictator, then the dad was the dictator. Now you got the grandson and the granddaughter being the dictator. They've never had no in their life, ever. We talked about that the other day, didn't we? Yeah. Two more, and we're done today. How about that? Theocracy. That little prefix, theo. Theology, theologian. You know what that is? It has to do with God, the preachers. So a theocracy. What's crassy mean? Where else have you seen crassy?
The end of everything.
Democracy. So it's government stuff. So you got God, government. What would a theocracy be?
A religious-based government.
Where the religion controls the government. Egypt was a theocracy. The emperor of Egypt was the god, and they worshiped the god, and it controlled the... In Iran today, you have a theocracy. Religion controls the government. In Iran, there's this guy called the Ayatollah. I'll never ask you to spell it. He is like the Muslim Pope of Iran. That's not exactly right, but that gives you an idea. The Ayatollah is in charge of the Muslim religion in Iran. The Ayatollah also controls the government. Now, the Ayatollah is not in the government. The Ayatollah just tells who's going to run for office, who's going to win, and when they get in there, what they're going to do. That's a theocracy. That's one of the few theocracies in the world. And then direct democracy. Democracy means the people control. The people rule. I lied. We're going to do two more. We'll do that. A direct democracy was in Greece. All the landowners who were wealthy, the male landowners, would meet on a hill under a tree. And they would walk around and they think about stuff and they talk about stuff and they made the decisions for the city. They had nothing else to do. Direct democracy is everybody votes on every issue. Could we have a direct democracy today in America?
No.
No. We got things to do. Plus, parking. If everybody had to show up in Washington, D.C. once a month to vote on stuff, where are we going to park? There'd be at least,
2 different states away.
I mean, that wouldn't work. So direct democracy, everybody votes on every issue. We don't have that. We couldn't have that. What do we have in America right now? And most other countries have. We got a republic. What's a republic? Representative democracy. We vote on people, and those people go make decisions for us. Because we got sandwiches to make. We've got fields to plow. We got things to do. So we are a republic. There really is not, unless it's Gilligan's Island or something, there is no direct democracy. Does anybody know when I said Gilligan's Island? Does anybody know what that is? It's an old TV show, like 7 people on this island. That would work like that. But we have a republic, a representative democracy. I do have a plan for, like, say this is when we didn't know we didn't have Bin Laden yet. So if we ever get Bin Laden, you announce in 2 weeks the sentence will be carried out in Montana. Gives everybody time. Everybody drives up to Montana. Why Montana? Plenty of parking. Plenty of parking. And there's Bin Laden. And every minute, somebody hits him. If it is some NFL offensive lineman, they'll say, okay, you can hit him in the arm. If it's Titan, they say, have at it. 1 hit every minute. Because I don't want to be Al Qaeda and just torture people and kill them. As a matter of fact, if he gets too bad off, we wait, so we're going to start again tomorrow. And people get their frustrations out. And, you know, hit him in the arm or hit him in the leg, or, you know, Todd can punch him in the mouth if he needs to, you know. But anyway. Did I throw out the ninja police to y'all?
Ninja police?
I think we need ninja police in the world. Because when I was growing up, I was afraid of getting beat up. And it kept me in line. People said a lot. There was not as much dumb stuff said and done 50 years ago as there is today. Because people feel free to because there's no consequences. But if you had ninja police and you say or do something stupid, they shout it. The problem is we need $7.5 billion for a week, and then after that we could fire half of them. Because people would kind of learn a little bit. Don't. Also on phones, if you put anything on there, it ought to flash and at this alarm says, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid, until somebody of substance has checked it out and made sure it's not stupid. That would keep a lot of stupid crap from you.
You know, if you knew that was, this is stupid, you know, that would go on until someone of substance checked it. See if it wasn't stupid or not. Dictator for 2 weeks, that's what I want to be. Dictator for 2 weeks. I'll fix everything and go away. Don't pay me nothing, I'll just go away.